you gotta jump up on top and then move on to the next platform. Now as we go over, drop back down again, and then make our final jump down to the next one. As you can see, the water is like all poisonous and such, I guess similar to the poisoned water that Liquidator did to kind of, contaminate the water supply in the town. Watch out for the alligator, jump over him before making it over. Now, good thing is, thankfully, there is a health thing up here, so I can refill my health meter. But I was taking a decent amount of hits in this level. And here we go with the boss fight. Now, Liquidator actually ends up being a really easy boss battle, in my opinion. Because his only real attack is that he moves back and forth and then forms, and then he uses his horn to, call up these 3 little mini enemies that, just shoot up straight up from where they, reach the surface from. So you just, shoot him a couple times and then move out of the way of little things that he shoots up, and he ends up being, a pretty plain, overall easy boss to take care of. Once again, he's taken care of, and we'll go over and collect our score up for this level, as we get our job well done. Now that the first 3 levels are complete, we now move on to the second set of 3 levels. Our score racks up once again. And now you can see that we're even in the same place, but now we have 3 random other help things sticking up, which equal each of the different levels. Now our enemy here is Moriarty, Professor Moriarty, whose actually name it came from the Sherlock Holmes enemy, our, main rival. Definitely one of the toughest bosses in the game, in my opinion. Now this level overall is in a construction site. Not too difficult to deal with. It's like the construction on a skyscraper or whatever, so we have to slowly climb it with all the beams and stuff. Still there for us to latch onto. It's also the introduction, I think, of a weird enemy, being the kangaroos that throw basketballs at you. So we have to make most of our level, by traveling upwards, traveling onto each of the ledges and slowly progressing up. And of course you gotta be careful that when the next platform that you jump up to doesn't have an enemy on it, of course you'll be taking an extra hit or 2. And since I've already done it before and mentioned it in the previous 2 levels, the voice of Moriarty is actually done by Jim Cummings, who also did the voice for several characters in the series, especially including Darkwing Duck himself. Go up here real quick and grab the extra life, and there's more of those kangaroos, or I think are kangaroos, maybe they're dingoes. I'm not positive on what enemy they are, but they throw basketballs at you, which is, I just find a little bit funny. Grab the extra bit of gold and jump down. Now here's more of these enemies. These are definitely an annoyance. Once again, you gotta be careful just to hit them in the flashing dot on the top of their head. Actually, the dot looks exactly like it was ripped as the small health item from Mega Man. Climb onto the lights and move up, and now we have to climb back up the construction site again. Take out some more of these guys, which can be a little bit of a challenge. Just you gotta wait for them in order, for them to shoot or move away from you before you end up making up the jump. We also have to deal with these turtles once again to throw out their shell. Kind of reminds me a little bit of the axe throwing guys from Castlevania. There's big soldiers that throw out their axe and then it retracts back to them. Now continue up. Now if I wanted to, I could go over there and jump down to grab an extra bit of life. But so far I'm doing pretty well on my health in this level compared to the previous one. I just take a hit there. Continuing up the lights. Like I said, this boss in this level is definitely pretty tricky because you have to realize what else is going on in the boss. It's one of the few bosses that what else is going on is just as challenging as himself. Now here we go with Moriarty, and what he does is he first starts off by walking over and starts up his 3rd machine. What I suggest doing is taking out at least one of the machines on top, and he'll jump up to fix it, and then move to the bottom part of the screen, destroy the one in the center, shoot him a bunch of times as he fixes it, and he'll jump back up. Then continue to shoot the one in the middle, break it again, he'll jump back down, and we'll repeat the process. Gotta keep watching out for the fire. The fire, coming at you is much more important to dodge. Himself being on the top screen most of the time until we actually destroy it and bring him down. Makes him overall easy to dodge. It's just those fireballs will easily drain your health and he'll hit you. He comes down to fix it one last time and he's taken out, and another level is complete. Until you realize that you can actually destroy those machines, and by doing so causes him to jump up immediately and try to fix them, it's really challenging to just try to go at him as fast as possible and try to take him out, but without taking out the machines definitely poses a pretty big challenge. Now our second level is another one of the more famous of Darkwing Duck's enemies. This is Megavolt, who you can get from just his name is an electric-based enemy. He actually was voiced by another pretty famous voice actor in Dan Castellaneta, who is, if you don't know the name, he's the voice of Homer Simpson, so you've probably definitely heard his voice at least a few times. Megavolt, I think, is actually one of the more interesting of the Darkwing Duck villains. He was, in a science fair, doing a project on static electricity when his little experiment got sabotaged, and what it ended up doing was causing, this great electrical current to go through his body, whatever, messed up his brain, and gives him the power of this electricity, but because of what also it did to him, making him a little bit insane, he goes around and he thinks that, random appliances such as toasters and stuff are actually, alive and enslaved by mankind, and that he has to be the liberator and free these toasters and other appliances from the evil grasp of man. Now, what's interesting and weird about this level, I think, as a whole, is just you have, like, the introduction of those genie enemies, as well as these very annoying running cats. There's that one I just avoided there. They follow you, like, really far across levels, trying to follow you. And if you don't take them out, they can easily jump up certain ledges, and they will just continue to chase you down until they're taken out. You also have these, ducks riding magic carpets that throw fireballs at you. That can also be a big annoyance in this level. Take out another one of those magic lamps to take out the big genies. So he has like a real Arabian theme to this level. Now watch out for more of the magic carpet riders that can be, like I said, definitely a pain to avoid. Their fireballs are easy to dodge, but they always come in a certain direction when they leave the screen, and it can be a little bit of a pain to dodge. Now here is Megavolt, and he, jumps up and down from the side, on each of the sides platforms, and leaves throws a spark at you, as well as that main spark will always remain on the bottom of the screen. Overall boss difficulty, especially compared to the boss we just defeated in Moriarty, he actually ends up being a relatively easy boss. He moves very slowly, gives you plenty of time to do damage to him. A little bit into the fight, though, he does alternate and shoot that lightning bolt straight up, which from them will follow you and try to hit you, come down where you're standing, but still very easy to dodge. So he ends up being, pretty easy, considering he actually is one of the more, important villains, I guess, in the series. Once again, my point total is racked up, and now we have one level left before unlocking the final level of the game. And this is definitely probably one of the other most famous villains from the whole series, as his stage is based in the forest. This is Bushroot, who his level is very reminiscent, just background and stage-wise, to like a Woodman stage from Mega Man, but it is Capcom, and they have recycled sprites in the past, so it wouldn't surprise me if something from here wasn't also in Woodman stage, but I'm not positive on that. Bushroot is probably my favorite of Darkwing Duck's villains, just because he probably has the deepest backstory of it all. I mean, he's one of the few people that actually kills others just in his backstory alone, his origin story. He also goes a little bit insane when he's after a certain girl that he's in love with and ends up being shunned by her after his experiment goes wrong, that he was trying to take photosynthesis from plants and transfer it onto animals or humans or whatever you like to call it, and right before his experiments are shut down for good, he ends up doing one last experiment on himself and ends up giving him the powers to control plants and such. Now, in this level, the flying birds, as well as, we have to make quick platform jumps over these waterfalls, reminiscent of, certain other games that we've seen in other platformers and such. And we have this running water that comes down that hides certain falls and pitfalls that we have to watch out for. So it can be a little bit of a challenge. And for once, I must say that in all video games where I always say the bats are definitely one of the most annoying enemies in all games, this game, bats are really easy to take care of, so I must say that throughout, this run, that bats for once aren't the toughest and most annoying enemy to deal with. Now we also have another unique enemy here, those green knights, that are actually like little mice riding these big suits of armor that you shoot the helmet off and then you shoot them again, like the exposed head of the mouse, and take them out. Now here is our battle with Bushroot, and he jumps from side to side and will climb up to certain things, and then he ends up causing one of the random, tree branches out of one of the 3 trees in the level to throw 3, objects at you that, as long as you're not on the same side of the screen from where the branch comes out, they're pretty easy to dodge. Now he moves, pretty slowly, and, it can be a little bit trouble to hit him sometimes, But as long as you dodge the branch, it won't take too long before you end up being able to get enough shots in on him to take him out. Jump up and hit him a few times, he'll go up, summon the branch again, throw stuff at us, get down. And one last shot takes him out. And now we have one last level to go. Now for the final level, we actually have to fight Steelbeak, who is, you know, not in as many episodes as some of the other villains, but definitely is one of the more vicious villains because of how much power he holds. He's kind of like a Kingpin-esque villain, you know, from Marvel, as well as a mix between like Kingpin and Jaws from James Bond. Being Steelbeak, of course, having a steel beak instead of, you know, having the steel jaws, like the character from the James Bond films. Now his level is a big airship that kind of just floats over the city that we get to go to. And it combines, of course, a bunch of the enemies from previous stages, including the ones I'm fighting right now, which are similar to the Sniper Joes from the Mega Man series.